What is up, everybody? It is time for another Marvel Monday. I figured that since there wasn't much news last week regarding Marvel, that I'd do a special video for Marvel Monday this week and rank all of the MCU's opening scenes from worst to best. I wish I had my pops and my comics behind me, but they're over there, so you can't really see them. Well, I'll just show you. So here is a little bit of my collection. I've got some pretty good pops. There's still some in the boxes. Some of my comics back here. Got the 1974 Captain America and Iron Man, a 1980 Avengers comic, a 2002 Captain America Legends action figure, a 1981 Avengers comic, and a 1977 Falcon and Captain America comic. So if you want to know where I got any of these, just leave it in the comments and I'll give you a link or just let you know where I got them. So if you like any of them, just put it in the comments. So if you saw any of those that you liked, like I said, just put it in the comments. I'll hook you up. Maybe once I get some more subscribers or whatever, I'll do a giveaway. I've got other comics and other pops. I just don't have them displayed. But maybe I'll do a giveaway when I get some more subscribers, give away some comics, give away a couple pops. So with that being said, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's get into the video. So today we're going to be talking about the MCU's opening scenes, and starting us out at number 23 is Iron Man 3. Now, Iron Man 3 is not one of my favorite movies in the MCU. It's really bland. I think it's really boring. It's not the worst movie, but it's definitely not even close to being the best. Now, the opening scene in this movie shows Tony back at a party in 1999, and you get to see a younger Tony, a younger Happy. He's got some long nappy hair, but it's just really not all that special, so that's all I've got really to say about it. Number 22, we have The Incredible Hulk, and I don't think that this movie is as bad as everybody says it is. I think it gets a little bit too much hate. But the reason that I have the opening scene so low is because we've seen Hulk's origin story in the Gamma Lab 100 times. So there's really no reason to tell it again. It's kind of what I expected when I saw it for the first time, so that's coming in at number 22. Number 21 is Captain Marvel. Once again, not my favorite movie. It's not the worst, but I just don't really care for it that much. This one starts out with her having a dream, and she wakes up on the planet where the Kree live, and then she starts to train, and that's kind of it. It just is really short. It's a really short opening scene. It's honestly kind of boring. The training sequence isn't that exciting, and it doesn't really build any anticipation for what the movie's going to bring, which is something that I think is really important in an opening scene. At number 20, we have Iron Man 2. I like Iron Man 2 a lot better than Iron Man 3, but it's kind of in the middle for me in the MCU ranking. But the opening scene is like Iron Man 3. It's pretty bad. The opening scene starts out with Whiplash's father. He's dying. He's looking at a TV, and he sees Tony on the TV announcing that he's Iron Man, and it's just kind of bland to me like the rest because it doesn't really do a good job of setting up the movie. Like, it introduces us to this villain, and we know he's going to be the villain because we see him creating an arc reactor. The only thing that kind of puts this above the other three on my list is the fact that when he's creating the arc reactor and we see the blueprints, we see that the man that just died, his father, actually worked on the first arc reactor with Howard Stark. So, coming in at 19, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a pretty good movie, I feel like. They didn't try to go for a whole lot, so they did what they accomplished. I thought it was a nice movie between Infinity War and Endgame to kind of take that heaviness off. But the opening scene, while it's pretty cool, it's just not really that special. The opening scene shows a young Hope being told goodbye by Hank and Janet as they say they have to go off on a mission. and we learn that they have to stop a missile, and the only way to get into it is for one of them to shrink so small that they could not come back. They would be stuck in the quantum realm. So Janet shrinks down and obviously gets stuck in the quantum realm. The good thing about this intro is that it does set a precedent for the rest of the movie. Like the rest of the movie, they're trying to get her out of the quantum realm. So it does do its job in setting up what's gonna happen, but it's just not really all that exciting, and it's kind of short. Next, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm not a big fan of this movie. I didn't really like Ego's character. I didn't like him as a villain. I thought he was kind of weird, and I thought there was too much humor in this movie, and the opening scene really isn't that much better. It's kind of cool because we get to see a younger looking Kurt Russell with some of their de-aging technology, but it's just not really an exciting scene. It's kind of confusing because you really don't know what's going on, and I just don't really care for it that much as a whole. At number 17, we have Ant-Man. Now, I love Ant-Man. I think it's a great movie. I love to watch it. It's a really fun watch, and anything above this, so 17 all the way to 1, I think are pretty good. It's just the fact that some are better than the others, but starting right here, I think all of the next opening scenes are honestly pretty good. So in this one, we see a young Hank Pym talking to an older Peggy Carter and Howard Stark. And the reason I put this at 17 is because it's really cool seeing them all talking at a different point than we're used to, so it's nice to see all of that. And Hank is upset because they want to use the Pym particles, and they're really not including him in any of their work. So it's not super exciting, but it is nice to see them all together in the same room at a different time than we're used to. So at number 16, we have Thor: The Dark World. Now, like The Incredible Hulk, I think this movie gets way too much hate. I honestly don't think that it's a bad movie at all. It's definitely not my least favorite. It probably cracks the top 15 for me, honestly. But that's just my opinion. In the opening scene to this movie, we kind of get a backstory on Malekith and the battle against the Dark Elves. It's a really nice battle sequence, and we get to see how Odin loses his eye. So it's pretty fun, and I enjoy it. But like I said, it's not the best, but it's pretty good. At number 15, we have Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy is one of my favorite MCU movies. It's definitely top 5, I would say. I have a great time every time I watch this movie, but the opening scene isn't really as good as the rest of the movie. And the reason why is because we're opened up to a child seeing the death of his mother, but we don't have any emotional connection to this child yet. We don't really even know who he is. So while it is a scene that is sad and you really feel sorry for this kid, there's just not much substance there. Now, when you go back and rewatch it after having an emotional connection to Quill, it does make the opening scene better, but the first time you watch it, it's not really that special. Number 14, we have Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I think they did a really good job in this opening scene explaining what happened with the snap. A lot of people were speculating what happened to people that were snapped away when they came back. Did they age? There was just a lot of questions, and I think they did a really good job explaining that in the little newscast that they did at the high school. I also liked the little video paying homage to the fallen heroes such as Iron Man, Black Widow, and Vision. So I like this opening scene quite a bit. There's just others that are better. Next, at number 13, we have Captain America: The First Avenger. So I'm a big Captain America fan. I think it's the best trilogy in the MCU. The opening scene is good, and like I said a few rankings ago, all of these are good. There's just some better than others. We see Cap's shield in the ice, which is a really cool way to open the movie, and then it cuts to 1942, and we get to see Red Skull's character for the first time. So it's just a really well put together opening scene, and one that really builds anticipation for the rest of the movie. I mean, you're trying to figure out why is Cap's shield in the ice, who is this guy with the Tesseract, so it does its job really well. At number 12, we have another one of my favorite MCU movies, controversially, Doctor Strange. So I love Doctor Strange. I love his character. I had a really good time with his movie. This movie opens up with Caecilius going into the temple and stealing a ritual out of one of the books. And he's confronted by the Ancient One, and she tells him that he really doesn't want to be doing that it won't help him at all, and he tries to run, and she goes after him, and that leads to a battle between her and Caecilius and his crew. So it's really cool because you see all of the world is just bending and things look like glass shattering, and the cinematography is just incredible in this scene. So that's why I have it this high at number 12. At number 11, we have Spider-Man Homecoming. I had a really good time with this movie too. I was interested to see what an MCU Spider-Man would look like after all the other Spider-Man movies had come from Sony. I really liked what they did with him in Civil War, so I was really excited to see his own movie, and it didn't disappoint, and neither did the opening scene. I love Michael Keaton's version of Vulture, and to see him on a construction site after the Battle of New York from the first Avengers, he just is doing his job, honestly, and they almost paint him to be a likable character. He gets his hands on some of the weapons that were used by the Chitauri, and at the time we didn't know this, but Thanos' army. So it's a really well put together scene. It's a scene that I really like, and it's a good way to open the movie and introduce the villain without you knowing it's the villain. At number 10, we have The Winter Soldier. And The Winter Soldier is top 3 for me, no question. But the opening scene, it's not very exciting, but it's one that I really like. I like to call it the on your left scene. Sam and Steve are running through DC, and every time Steve blows past Sam, he says on your left, and Sam kind of gets agitated at this, but makes for some nice comedy to open up the movie, and also a good introduction to Sam's character, who later becomes Falcon, obviously. But the highlight of this scene is Steve's notebook. I think it is hilarious what's in that notebook. It's different references and different things that people have told him to check out since he's been frozen in the ice, and there's some things like Star Wars. I can't remember all of them, but it's so funny. That's the highlight of the scene for me. Coming in at number 9 is Thor, and the opening to Thor isn't really all that different from the opening to Thor the Dark World. The only difference is this one starts out on Earth with Jane and her crew, and the Dark World starts out with Odin telling a story. So it starts out, and Jane and her crew are trying to document what they think is some kind of weather phenomenon. So they're documenting that, and they drive right through it and end up hitting Thor, who they don't know is Thor. And then it goes into a description, a kind of a backstory of Asgard, which I think is really cool. So I like this scene a lot, honestly. I think the opening scene's better than the movie is, but it's a good scene. At number 8, we have Avengers Age of Ultron, another movie that I think gets way too much hate, and that is higher on my MCU ranking than a lot of other people's. Now, the opening scene is really good. It starts us out right in the middle of an action scene, and the reason I have it lower than I would have put it is because there's so many things going on at the same time. I mean, you've got one person here, one person here, one person here, one person here, and they're all fighting different people. He's fighting her, she's fighting him. It's all over the place, which is kind of confusing. It's kind of hard to keep up. I think they tried to do too much with that opening scene, but it's still a good scene. At number 7, we have the movie that started it all, Iron Man. Now, Iron Man's, it is a wonderful movie. It is a wonderful start to the MCU, and it does a good job in the beginning of fleshing out who Tony Stark is. it shows you that Tony Stark is this cocky, kind of big-headed person, and the scene or the shot where he's standing with his arms out and the explosions are behind him, he's just proven how bad he really is. And it's a great way to set up the rest of the movie. It really gets you engaged, really gets you wondering about his character. You kind of already like his character. So, love the Iron Man opening, love the movie. It's a good one. At number 6, we have Black Panther. Now, great movie. It did so much for the MCU. It did so much in general. It's a wonderful movie. I really, really enjoyed how it explained how Wakanda came to be, the vibranium asteroid hitting Africa and creating Wakanda, and all to do with the 5 tribes. And then it cuts to 1992 in Oakland, where you see a little pickup basketball game, and then it goes up into the room in the apartment, and you see all the people talking and their argument go down. And it's just a really nice scene that sets up the rest of the movie. You're wondering, does this have any connection with the rest of the movie? And you come to find out it does, but it does its job really well. At number 5, we have Thor Ragnarok. Now, Ragnarok is in my top 5 movies as well. I love this movie. I have a great time with it. Every time I watch it, I just watched it last night. I love the opening scene so much. And the only person that could pull off an opening scene like that is Taika Waititi. He was born to direct Thor, in my opinion, and I'm so glad he's doing the next installment of Thor. But the opening scene is a really interesting one. Thor's in a cage, and you find out that he's being held by Surtur, and it's got so much comedy, it's got action. The opening music is just insanely good. It's got the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, and the only person, like I said, that could pull all of that off at the same time is Taika Waititi. So he did a great job with that opening scene, did a great job with the movie, and that's why it comes in at number 5. And coming in at number 4, we have Captain America Civil War. I love Civil War. Like I said, the Captain America trilogy is my favorite trilogy. I just have a great time watching Civil War. I think there's so many good things that we can learn as people from Civil War. Now, the opening scene with Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Cap, Sam, it's just great. Their fight with Crossbones and his crew is really good. And then to end that scene, we have Scarlet Witch throwing Crossbones up and it blowing up half of a building. So it does its job like Black Panther does, and Ragnarok, kind of making you want to know what's gonna happen the rest of this movie. Like, when that happens, you're like, oh, okay, what are they gonna do about this? So it does its job really well, and that's why I have it ranked so high. So cracking our top 3, we have The Avengers. The Avengers is just an overall really good movie. The first team-up movie that we really got, and the opening scene didn't disappoint either. It starts out, and we see somebody who turns out to be Loki getting the staff, and we don't know at the time who's giving him the staff, but it ends up being Thanos. And then it cuts to the SHIELD base, and Loki is there at the SHIELD base to get the Tesseract, and it's just an incredible scene, an incredible action scene, sets up the movie really well, and it's one that I could watch over and over. At number 2, we have Avengers Endgame. Now, Endgame is probably the most excited I've ever been about watching a movie, and the opening scene set up the movie perfectly. When you have a 3-hour movie, you have to have an opening scene to get your audience hooked. And I'm pretty confident that it hooked everybody. You start out with Tony up in space, and you really don't know what's going to happen to him. He said he's been up there for 22 days. And then Captain Marvel comes and rescues him. The Avengers back down at their base have some disagreements, mainly between Cap and Tony. And then Captain Marvel just out of the blue says she's going to go kill Thanos. And I remember in the theater I was like, oh, well, I guess that's one way to do it. And then when they actually did go kill Thanos, I remember looking around and everybody in the theater had their mouth wide open, including myself. I was not expecting him to die at the beginning of the movie. So it really, really did its job at building anticipation for the rest of the movie. Because I looked at my friend and I was like, what are they going to do now? They just killed him. So they did a great job with this opening, and there's only one more that tops this one in my opinion. And of course, that one opening scene that trumps them all is Infinity War. Now, Infinity War is my favorite movie in the MCU, and it's my favorite opening scene. It is a brutal opening to an Avengers movie. In the first 5 minutes, Heimdall gets killed, Loki gets killed, Hulk gets beat up by Thanos. We think Thor's about to die. So it is just a brutal opening to a movie. And it really did its job well, because it introduced Thanos and it really showed how much of a bad guy he is. Like, we have never seen on screen somebody that can rival the Hulk in a one-on-one fist fight. And he was just punching Hulk around at one point like he was nothing. And I'm telling you, it just, for that being Thanos' first appearance in action, I was blown away, and I was really excited to see more. It made me hate him because I loved Heimdall's character and I loved Loki's character, so by him killing them, that set up a hatred toward Thanos for me, but it was also like, wow, I really want to see more of this guy. So they did an incredible job with this scene, and it's my favorite. I think that it's perfect, and that's why it comes in at number 1. Thank you for watching. If you want to know where I got my pops and my comic books, just ask down in the comments, and I will hook you up. Maybe, like I said, if we get so many subscribers, maybe when we hit 1,000, I'll do a pop or a comic giveaway. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Keep watching Marvel and keep watching movies.